So my story begins on a cold winter morning in Boston, Massachusetts. And just like any morning, that alarm clock goes off. I jump out of bed, get dressed, lace up the old shoes, and head out for my morning run. But it didn't take me long on this particular day to realize that things were a little different. And anyone here familiar with New England weather, you will certainly be able to relate to this. It was one of those days where it's not quite cold enough for snow, but not exactly warm enough for rain either. So you get that sort of frozen, slushy rain coming down. And I knew, standing in that doorway, that I had my first defining decision of the day. Pretty simple decision, right? Do I run or do I not? But I remember in the moment really struggling with the practicality of just going back to bed. Made all the sense of the world. Right? Or it would have been just as rational, go back in, grab a bite to eat, go to work, take that run when I get back, the sky's cleared up, everything's great. But for one reason or another, I grabbed a beanie, I found some running gloves, and I was off. And I can tell you, yes, it was cold. It was wet, it was windy, it was desolate, it was uncomfortable. But before I knew it, that door shut, and I was standing exactly where I started. Pretty anticlimactic. No awards, no trophies, no applause, no finish line, just a quiet satisfaction. But there's a reason I'm telling you this story. Right? Years after the fact, this seemingly trivial run in the rain completely transformed my relationship with that thing we call discomfort. And that little change in perspective altered everything that would come next. Now, totally fair for you to wonder what in the world this has to do with your life and your problems. What does a run in the rain have to do with the trials and the tribulations that we face every day? Well, I want you to stick with me for the next few minutes because what I want to demonstrate is how the answer to that question is absolutely, unequivocally everything. Fast forward with me a few months. Okay, at this point in time, just left the only career I'd ever had, the only job I'd ever held. I went to pursue some creative projects, which meant a lot of things, right? Meant, as you can imagine, for the first time in my life, that bi-weekly paycheck was no longer a thing. Safety net off. It meant for the first time in my life, I didn't know what the future was supposed to be like. Or 2 or 3 or 4 promotions from now meant, but hey, I didn't care. Right? This is why we live. I'm on my own. I'm exploring the entrepreneurial realm. It's exciting, refreshing, energizing, everything good. For a while. Because as everyone here knows, during any pursuit, reality eventually sets in, right? And when it did in this particular situation, it looked a lot like a guy in his mid-20s sitting alone in an apartment, unemployed, unsure, and very lost. And boy, did I have a decision to make, because that job, the one that I just walked away from, well, that was looking pretty good. Maybe I took that for granted. It would have been great to have money coming in. It would have been amazing to wake up every morning and know exactly where I needed to be and when and why. When people asked that dreaded question, Eddie, what do you do for a living? Yep, would have been a real treat to be able to give an answer I felt confident in, but I couldn't. And it was the culmination of these things that made me want to run right back to that world, the only world I'd ever known, and maybe I would have, had it not been for a thought. A single thought, standing in that doorway on a cold winter morning, looking out at the rain, and I knew that what I wanted right now, in the moment, in the present, was not what I needed. See, what I needed to do was throw ego aside. What I needed to do was keep writing, keep creating, keep uploading, and I did. And it's an amazing thing. When you double down on discomfort, it starts to look a lot like confidence. And as days went by, I saw a brand starting to grow. I saw an audience beginning to develop. People were reaching out, saying they cared what I had to say, and for the first time in a very long time, I had direction. And I'd never been so grateful for a trivial run in the rain. Let's fast forward a few more months. This time, holding a microphone. Right, I'm backstage, I'm ready to give my first keynote presentation, and I have been waiting my whole life for this, practicing for weeks, and now the moment had arrived, but again, reality didn't look like it was supposed to. My hands were sweaty, my knees were shaky, the objective was shifting right in front of my eyes. That morning I got up, I was going to change the world with this speech. This was going to be the presentation to end all presentations, but standing there in that moment, I cared about two things: surviving and going home. And that's exactly the standard that was met. They called my name, walked on stage, kind of made my way through an awkward presentation. I said thank you, and I got out of there. And as I walked down those steps, I thought, dude, what are you doing? This is painful. It's excruciating. And the kicker, right, the best part, no one's forcing me to be here. It's some kind of self-induced torture, and I'm done. And maybe I would have been, had it not been for a thought. A single thought, standing in that doorway on a cold winter morning, looking out at the rain, and I knew that what I wanted right now, in the immediate, in the present, it was not what I needed. See, what I needed to do was stop feeling sorry for myself. What I needed to do was take the cab back to the hotel, pull out that laptop, and immediately look for more speaking opportunities. Right? Practice more, get out more, and I did. And absolutely that confidence grows, but most importantly, I learned that I love it. A realization that doesn't occur had I been too intimidated by the discomfort behind door number 1. And I'd never been so grateful for a trivial run in the rain. Let's fast forward one more time, but this time 2 years down the road. I'm in a U-Haul going down 95. Everything I own in the back of that trailer. The people that I love and care about fading away in the rear view, and what's in front of me is road. It is twists, it is turns, it is question marks, and all I want to do is turn that thing around. See, suddenly I don't care about career or growth or opportunity. No, I want to be comfortable, and maybe I chase that. But I've sung that song. Man, I've done this dance. I've been here enough to know that the pain of the present moment isn't a reason to run or retreat or hide. No, it's an invitation to the best things this world has to offer. So I pressed the pedal to the floor and continued south, and when the sky cleared, the dust settled, I acclimated to a new home, built new relationships. Opportunities emerged that never would have had I stayed hidden behind what's comfortable. And that is the simple truth that changes everything. Our lives will never be defined by how we act when things are perfect, when life is great. Success is not manufactured on that beautiful 72-degree day when every runner in Boston is frolicking around the Charles River, basking in sunshine. No, it's the other stuff. The things that people don't see when you have to walk up to that metaphorical door, whatever it is in your life, and decide, do I go back to bed? Or do I step out into a state of controlled chaos? When, by the way, no one else would. When even common sense is wondering if you've lost your mind, that is where you find the good stuff. Where you learn that the gray space, the question marks, the highs, the lows, the ups, and the downs, they're not an adversary. No, they are the best ally you'll ever have. So dance with that discomfort, relish in that unknown, and next time you find yourself amidst one of life's inevitable storms, remember, the things you want most are nothing more than a collection of those little courageous decisions. So stand up straight, take a breath, and ask yourself, is it just a run in the rain? Thank you.